This is Radio Health Journal. I'm Nancy Benson. This week, how life changes for parents when the last child leaves home.
This has been what they have been doing for 18 plus years. So all of a sudden they have a new job description. All of a sudden they have to find out what else is important to them.
The Empty Nest, when Radio Health Journal returns.
Can you imagine not being able to see? Nearly 250 million people worldwide are blind or visually impaired. 80% of visual impairment can be prevented or cured, but 90% of those affected live in countries with little access to quality eye care. The solution is Orbis, a global nonprofit organization which has trained thousands of doctors and treats hundreds of thousands of patients in 78 countries aboard their Flying Eye Hospital, the world's only ophthalmic teaching hospital on board a DC-10 aircraft. This summer, Orbis will launch their brand new Flying Eye Hospital, an MD-10 state-of-the-art, fully accredited eye hospital with enhanced teaching technologies. Orbis invites you to celebrate this milestone in aviation and medicine. For just a $25 donation to Orbis, you can get a behind-the-scenes tour of the Flying Eye Hospital and experience a piece of aviation history this summer in Los Angeles, Memphis, New York, Washington, D.C., or Dallas. Visit orbis.org/launch to make your donation. Register for tours and to learn more. That's orbis.org/launch.
The lives of parents with kids growing up often revolve around shuttling them to soccer practice, making cookies for bake sales, cooking for a crowd, and doing countless piles of laundry. Parents' friends are often the parents of their children's friends. Life is all about the kids, their activities, and school. So when the youngest child grows up and moves out or heads for college, what then? Conventional wisdom is that parents are ready to turn cartwheels. But surveys show this reaction is fairly common.
A feeling of loss, a feeling of no direction, insecurity, instability, all of those things.
That's psychotherapist and licensed clinical social worker Wendy Aronson, author of Refeathering the Empty Nest, Life After the Children Leave.
I can't tell you how many cocktail parties I've been to when everybody said, I just dread being an empty nester. So it's on people's minds. It's in the air. So recognizing that feeling is really important, that dread, if you will, or that angst about it. This has been their life description. This has been what they have been doing for 18 plus years, if this is the youngest and or only child. So all of a sudden they have a new job description. All of a sudden they have to find out what else is important to them. And they have to take stock and kind of reevaluate.
About 25 million Americans are empty nesters whose kids have grown up and moved out. It's such a dramatic change when the last child leaves that Aronson simply calls it the shift.
It is what I refer to as the shift because I think it impacts every aspect of the family or the couple's or the person's life. So by that, it's the relationship to the child, their relationship to their spouse, friends, their career. I often work with the analogy of the patchwork pillow, so that if they're feeling that there are patches that are missing, hopefully this is a time that they can find different patches for that patchwork pillow so that they feel more sense of comfort.
Some parents have been thinking about that and planning what they'll do with their newfound freedom for years. But Aronson says sometimes even that isn't enough to deal with the emotional impact once it finally occurs.
Some parents will prepare everything and they leave nothing for chance. And by the time the child leaves, it kind of hits them like a ton of bricks. They no longer have any way to prepare or any more to prepare for. So there's a lot of emptiness that people can experience. On the other hand, there could be a lot of denial that people just can't believe their youngest is leaving, that this chapter in their life is over, and what is going to happen to them? What is their life going to look like? Are they going to be needed from their children? Are they going to feel needed with their spouse? What are they going to do with their life?
And as you might expect, the impact of the last child leaving often hits one parent harder than the other. For example, the stay-at-home mom.
There usually is one parent who takes at least a little bit of a larger responsibility for the children. Oftentimes one sees the parent who does have that responsibility experiences this a little more intensely or acutely.
Aronson says most parents will even move through the well-known Kubler-Ross stages of grief when their youngest child leaves.
I think they do, but again, it's a matter of degrees. I think some might feel those stages of Kubler-Ross much more intensely. Denial is one of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's first stage that she talks about in loss, and that is seen with the children leaving the nest as oftentimes the parents can't believe it. An example would be they try to parent the same way they always have rather than allowing for room for the child's independence. That would be a way of denial.
The second stage is anger about the child leaving. The third is bargaining.
They might say, well, if you go to school locally, then you can have a car. So there's those obvious kind of ways of bargaining to keep the child then connected or the young adult connected to the home.
After that come depression and finally acceptance. And when that comes, parents may begin to look at an empty nest as a great opportunity rather than as a great loss.
Think about what would be gratifying and what could be an exciting thing for you as the individual. And then there's the couple as what could be shared interests. And it doesn't mean that they have to be equal in their interest. It's just useful for it to be shared. Taking up a sport, traveling, doing volunteer work. There are so many different things. But again, it's refueling your life and your situation so that it has meaning beyond just the children.
While careers and personal activities can be changed when the last child leaves home, it's likely that a couple's marriage will be affected most.
The focus used to be on the children, and I often conceptualize it as having the children in the front seat of the car, and all of a sudden they're gone, and it's time now for your spouse to come into the front seat. Before that, they were in the back seat. And it really requires that you refocus your energies. One of the people I interviewed said the first thing her husband said is, gosh, I feel like I have my wife back. People do find it shocking that all of a sudden they have to get to know each other again, that they have to find other things to focus on and really listen to one another.
The newly empty nest can either be an opportunity for growth or for a marriage to fall apart.
It can be an opportunity to say, okay, we've done the best we can do raising our children, and there is not much beyond that we have. And there has been a lot of studies about post-children leaving that parents can end up in divorce. The divorce rate increases enormously. It's an opportunity also to reinvent your marriage and to strengthen your marriage. And I urge those people who feel like the marriage is worth reinventing and working on to get in there and really work, because the opportunities and the fruits of those labors are just enormous.
These days, however, there's often a complication. Just when parents have gotten used to being empty nesters, many recent college grads have been unable to find jobs, so they end up back at mom and dad's house.
They're called the boomerang children, so they come back home. So all of a sudden, parents have a young adult, a child, in their house again, and there has to be a lot of good communication going on, rules within the family. These young adults are used to being on their own, coming home whenever they want, doing laundry when they want to, not want to. So things have to be really clear. It's really a disruption.
When parents set down clear expectations, and kids do too, Aronson says having a boomerang child back home can be a wonderful experience. But parents have to think about it, be proactive, and not just let it happen. In fact, she says that's the key to making the most of an empty nest. Maybe parents have a goal or a hobby they've never pursued. Maybe there's an activity they once loved but had to drop. Yes, there's loss when the last child leaves, but Aronson says more than anything else, it's an opportunity to recraft life into what a parent truly wants it to be. You can find out more about Wendy Aronson's book, Refeathering the Empty Nest, through a link on our website, radiohealthjournal.net. Our production director is Sean Waldron. I'm Nancy Benson.
Radio Health Journal returns with medical notes in just a moment.
Chronic pain affects many people's close friends or loved ones. For years, spinal cord stimulation has represented a life-changing option for some patients. Now, spinal cord stimulation therapy has taken another step forward with FDA approval of a new patient-centric system called the St. Jude Medical Proclaimed Spinal Cord Stimulation System. Dr. Judson Cook of Spine and Neurosurgery Specialists of Austin tells us more.
Until recently, spinal cord stimulation technology had only been incrementally improving. But with the new St. Jude Medical Proclaimed system, my patients have a strong package of benefits like a battery that doesn't require recharging and upgradable technology while still receiving optimized spinal cord stimulation therapy.
To take the next step to learn more about the newly approved Proclaimed Spinal Cord Stimulation System, go to poweroveryourpain.com/nextsteps. That's poweroveryourpain.com/nextsteps. Implementation of a spinal cord stimulation system can involve risk, such as painful stimulation, loss of pain relief, and surgical risks, such as paralysis during the implantation procedure. Patients should talk to their physician to determine if spinal cord stimulation therapy is right for them.
Medical notes this week. A high-fat diet may be less dangerous to your health depending on your mealtime. A new study in the journal eBiomedicine finds that fats disrupt the circadian rhythm of the body's immune cells, so they're set for a different time than the rest of the body's cells. The result is inflammation, which contributes to cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and arthritis. But the effect of fats on immune cells is less in the morning than late at night. So researchers say if you're going to eat saturated fats, have them for breakfast. Pregnant women are screened for diabetes, but often not until the 6th month of pregnancy, and a new study suggests that may be too late. Women who have diabetes or who are obese often deliver excessively large babies. But a study in the journal Diabetes Care shows that rapid fetal growth often occurs early in pregnancy, before diabetes testing usually occurs. And finally, when a person's lost a lot of weight, what their friends say has a lot to do with whether they gain it back. A study in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine shows that people who successfully keep the weight off are more often surrounded by friends and family who complement their efforts and eating habits and join in eating healthy foods with them. People who regain weight say they receive lots of support, but it comes in the form of reminders about exercise and foods they should avoid. And that's Medical Notes this week. More in a moment.
When it comes to health insurance, understanding what you'll pay for covered services, prescriptions, and supplies is important, especially if you have a chronic condition like diabetes. Now, there's a new tool to help people with diabetes save money on test strips. My Copay is a website and nationwide telephone service that tells you the lowest copays for the top 5 brands of diabetes test strips in the market based on your individual health plan. Here's consumer advocate and nationally syndicated columnist Jim Miller.
Figuring out health coverage can be confusing. My Copay is a valuable free service that can help people maximize their healthcare dollar. By comparing the out-of-pocket cost of the various diabetes test strips available, people can make educated decisions about the products they use.
My Copay is sponsored by LifeScan, maker of One Touch brand blood glucose monitoring systems. Find the lowest copay for your test strips at knowmycopay.com or by calling toll-free 1-844-807-8936. That's knowmycopay.com.
Thank you for listening to Radio Health Journal, a production of MediaTrax Communications. If you enjoyed this week's show, please leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. You can find more Radio Health Journal stories about health, science, and technology on iTunes, Stitcher, and at radiohealthjournal.net.